All right, let's jump right in. There's this massive story unfolding in India, a story that's all about fuel, farming, and, well, the future. We're talking about the country's huge push for ethanol-blended petrol. It's being called a major triumph, but as you'll see, it also comes with some really tough questions.
And this is the big question, right? At its heart, this is about India trying to solve its energy problems by looking to its farms. But the real nail biter is, can it do that without kicking off a whole new crisis for its food supply, for its water, and for the environment? That's the tightrope we're going to walk today.
Okay, so first things first, let's talk about the win that got everyone's attention. India has just hit a massive target on its clean energy journey, and frankly, it's a milestone that very few countries can claim.
20%. You're going to hear that number a lot. It's the big one. See, India set this goal to blend 20% ethanol into its petrol nationwide. This is what's called E20 fuel, and actually hitting this target puts the country in a pretty exclusive club.
But here's the real kicker. It's not just that they did it, it's how fast they did it. The original plan back in 2018 was to hit this 20% mark by 2030. But then, in 2022, the government basically slammed the accelerator, pulling that deadline all the way up to 2025. Nailing this goal years ahead of schedule, that shows you just how serious this commitment really is. So you're probably wondering, how on earth did they pull this off? You don't just achieve a goal this ambitious, this fast, by accident. It took a really deliberate, multi-layered strategy. The whole thing was built on a foundation of smart, flexible policy. Instead of just betting on one thing, like sugarcane, the national policy threw the doors wide open to all kinds of sources. We're talking corn, damaged grains, even farm waste. That flexibility, all managed by a national committee and helped by new rules that made it easier to ship ethanol around, was absolutely key to keeping the supply chain running smoothly. And, a good plan is one thing, but you've got to have the cash to back it up. The government didn't just write rules, they made it profitable. They offered financial help to build new ethanol plants, and they had the big oil companies guarantee they'd buy the stuff. Throw in a guaranteed price and a massive tax cut, slashing the GST on ethanol from 18% all the way down to 5%, and well, private investors started lining up.
Okay, so we have the plan, we have the money. What's the payoff? Well, it's been huge, and you can see the benefits pretty much everywhere. For the economy, for people in rural areas, and for the planet. First up, and this is a big one, think about the farmers. This isn't just some abstract energy policy, it's an engine for rural prosperity. By 2025, buying up all this ethanol had pumped over 1.18 lakh crore rupees straight into the pockets of farmers. That is a truly life-changing amount of money flowing into India's agricultural heartland.
Next, let's talk about energy security. Look, India buys a lot of oil from other countries, and that leaves it vulnerable to crazy price swings and global politics. By swapping some of that imported oil for ethanol made right at home, India has saved an estimated 1.36 lakh crore rupees in foreign exchange. It just makes the country that much more self-reliant. And finally, the planet gets a win. This whole program has stopped an estimated 700 lakh tons of CO2 from ever hitting the atmosphere. And because ethanol burns cleaner than gasoline, it also cuts down on other nasty stuff like carbon monoxide. For air quality in India's jam-packed cities, that's a huge deal. So, sounds like a perfect success story, right? More money for farmers, better energy security, cleaner air. What's not to love? Well, this is where the story takes a turn. Because the incredible success of India's ethanol program comes with some very, very serious questions about its true cost. Yeah, this is where things get messy. Because the very thing that makes ethanol so promising, the fact that it's grown, is also its biggest Achilles heel. This is one of those solutions that comes with some major side effects. And this right here, this is the core conflict. It's the classic food versus fuel debate playing out on a national scale. On one side, you have energy security. On the other, food security. To keep the ethanol distilleries running, India is diverting essential food crops. Get this, to meet ethanol demand in 2024-25, the country actually had to start importing maize. That's a massive trade-off. And it's not just about what's on your plate. There's another crisis brewing, one you can't see at the gas station: water. Making biofuel is an incredibly thirsty business, and that's a huge problem in a water-stressed country like India. Just take a second to process this number. To make 1 single liter of ethanol from grains, you need between 8 and 12 liters of fresh water. Now, multiply that by the billions of liters needed to fuel a country. You're talking about a colossal strain on water resources. And that's not even counting famously thirsty crops like sugarcane. And the list of challenges honestly just keeps going. The distilleries themselves are classified as red category industries, which means they're a high pollution risk. They pump out this toxic wastewater called vinasse that can absolutely wreck rivers. The intensive farming needed can degrade the soil. And then there's the practical stuff. The infrastructure just isn't there yet. Lots of vehicles aren't built for E20, and many rural areas don't even have the facilities to blend the fuel.
Okay, so we've got this incredible success on one side and this laundry list of really serious problems on the other. So where do we go from here? The whole game now is figuring out how to keep all the good stuff while systematically fixing the bad.
Well, the path forward seems to be a multi-pronged attack. It's not about doing just one thing, but a whole bunch of things at once. It means branching out to next-gen sources, like algae that don't compete with food crops. It means getting tougher on environmental rules, like making water treatment mandatory for distilleries. And it means a big push on both tech and infrastructure to make the whole system cleaner and more efficient.
From a tech perspective, the roadmap is actually pretty clear. It's a 3-step journey. First, you perfect the E20 system we have now. Step 2, and this is a biggie, you get the auto industry to switch over to flex fuel vehicles, cars that can run on any mix of ethanol and petrol. And the final goal? Build out the infrastructure for ethanol 100, a fuel that is pure ethanol, and move away from gasoline altogether.
And so that's where we're left, with this massive, critical question. India's E20 success is, without a doubt, a monumental achievement. But the road ahead is a balancing act. The real challenge now is to innovate and regulate smartly, to make sure this quest for green gold doesn't end up costing the country its precious resources for today. Can India fuel its future without compromising its present? The answer to that is going to define its next chapter.